I am a 26-year-old woman. It has been a year since my breakup, and I have only been working. I hardly go out with anyone. I find peace with myself, and I have come a long way to achieve this. There was a period in the beginning when I could not be alone, even sleep on the bed where my ex-partner slept. I spent time mainly outside, with people. And now it is the opposite. I feel like I will never return to that normal state I was in. I find myself still thinking about my ex-relationship, which was very toxic on both sides. It lasted 3 years, with interruptions. We have reached extremes, but the way I felt good with this person, I feel like I will not experience it with anyone else, since it is very difficult for me to trust anyone. In my goal to be good in my own company, at the moment, that's the only way I feel good. I am communicative, but my communication with people is only related to the workplace. Outside of work, I communicate only with my family and my best friend, but they are not in the city where I live. Many of my acquaintances have died due to my absence in maintaining them. I buried myself in work and university, and even if I want to slow down a bit, I find solace only in them, as well as in spending time alone. My problem is that I only seek my own company, even if it's a walk, a movie, a cafe/restaurant. How can I overcome this feeling that I'm best alone and be able to make myself go out with people again?
Wow, you can really feel the weight of this experience. It brings up such a vital and, honestly, confusing part of healing. After you've been through the storm of a toxic relationship, that quiet calm of being on your own can feel like the only safe place in the world. But then, that safety can start to feel, well, a little bit like a cage. And you start asking, if this is what healing is supposed to be, why does it also feel like I'm completely stuck? So in this explainer, we're going to get into the psychology behind this retreat and map out a gentle path forward. Okay, let's dive right in. The very first thing we need to do, and this is absolutely crucial, is to completely reframe what's happening here. This powerful urge to withdraw isn't a sign that there's something wrong with you or that you're failing at being social. It's actually a sign that your mind and body are intelligently and actively recovering. So this isn't a problem we need to solve. It's a process we need to understand. I really want to just pause on this for a second, because this idea is the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. Let that really sink in. There is nothing broken in you. After an experience that completely shatters your trust, your system isn't malfunctioning, it's healing. What feels like withdrawal is actually an incredibly mature and necessary part of that whole journey. So what you're experiencing isn't just being alone. It's something much more active. It's self-preservation. Think about it. When your fundamental trust in another person, and maybe even your trust in your own judgment, has been seriously damaged, your mind's most logical response is to find an environment you can control. And really, what's more controlled, more predictable, and safer than your own company? It's not a weakness, it's a wise, protective instinct kicking in. So why does the solitude feel so necessary right now? Well, it's not just a simple preference. There are some really deep biological and psychological reasons that are driving this need to be alone. Let's break down exactly what's going on under the hood. Okay, so there are 3 big things happening here. First off, your nervous system. After being on high alert for years, riding those emotional highs and lows, it's finally getting a break. That quiet you're feeling, that isn't emptiness, that's peace. Second, you stepped off a hormonal roller coaster. Toxic relationships can get you hooked on intense dopamine highs, followed by massive cortisol stress crashes. Your brain is now getting used to a much healthier, stable baseline. And third, things like work and school feel good because they're predictable. When people have become unpredictable, that structure is a total safe haven. This brings us to a really important moment for some honest self-reflection. You need to ask yourself this: do you genuinely want to be more social right now, or do you just feel like you should want to be? Society puts this huge pressure on us to be outgoing and connected all the time, but your healing process, it's got its own timeline. Now take a look at these 2 statements. Which one feels more true for you right now? For a lot of people in this recovery phase, it's actually the one on the right. The choice to be alone is coming from a desire for calm, not from a place of active fear of others. And recognizing that is so empowering because it shows you're making a conscious, healthy choice for your own well-being. And yet, there's often this little hum of anxiety underneath it all, right? The fear isn't really about being alone right now. That part actually feels pretty good. The real fear is that little voice that whispers, what if I get too comfortable here? What if I never leave? What if this is my life forever? It's so important to acknowledge that fear and then to gently remind yourself, this is a phase. This is a season of recovery. It is not a life sentence. And this leads to such a powerful shift in perspective. The goal isn't to get back to who you were before. I mean, how could you? That person didn't have the wisdom you have now. You can't unlearn what you've been through. The real journey is about moving forward and building a new version of your social self, one that's more discerning, more boundaried, and way more resilient. This really lays it out perfectly. The old goal might have just been to be social, period. But the new goal? It's so much deeper. It's about figuring out how to connect with the world without losing that incredible peace and self-awareness you fought so hard to find. It's about connection with boundaries. So, if that's the goal, how do you even start? The most important word here is gentleness. We're not forcing anything. This is not about jumping into the deep end and flooding your system with parties and big social events. It's about taking tiny, manageable steps that feel safe and letting the momentum build naturally over time. Let's walk through these. Step 1, mini sociality. The goal here is just presence, not deep intimacy. Think a 30-minute coffee, not a 3-hour dinner party. Step 2, combine people with your solitude. Go to a movie with a friend, then go straight home to your safe space. This teaches your brain that being social doesn't mean you have to give up your security. Step 3 is a big one. Action comes before desire. You can't wait until you feel like it. The desire to connect will actually show up after you take the small step. And finally, step 4, give yourself permission not to trust people right away. You don't owe anyone your vulnerability. You just owe it to yourself to maintain your boundaries. Trust has to be earned, slowly. All right, now we have to talk about that really powerful, lingering feeling, the one that says, the way I felt with them, I'll never experience that with anyone else. This is maybe one of the most common and powerful echoes of a toxic relationship. And guess what? It's all about brain chemistry. See, a toxic relationship often creates what we call a trauma bond. That cycle of intense pain followed by the intense relief of making up, it creates this massive chemical cocktail in your brain. Your brain doesn't label it unhealthy, it just registers the sheer intensity of it all. It remembers that powerful rush and mistakes all that volatility for deep, profound love. Real, healthy connection feels much calmer, much more stable. And your brain just needs a little time to learn that this new, calmer feeling is actually the real deal. And let's end with this thought right here. Maybe the greatest gift of this whole period of solitude is that you are learning what a true healthy connection actually feels like. A real one will never ask you to sacrifice your peace. It won't ask you to give up your boundaries or your sense of self just to feel it. It will add to you, it won't subtract. The journey back isn't about finding someone who feels as intense as the past. It's about finding a connection where you finally feel completely and totally like yourself.